Okay, we are going to get started here this morning on lesson 9.2. Today we are going to be relating hundredths and decimals, whereas yesterday we related tenths and decimals. So yesterday we talked about that first number to the right of the decimal point. The decimal point being here, and that first number to the right was in the tenths place. Well, even in yesterday's lesson, you'll notice that there was a space over here for the hundredths place. And if we were going this way, which we're used to going left of the decimal point, we'd have our ones place, then we'd have our tens place, and then we would have our hundreds place. Well, so if you're going to the right of the decimal point, you have tenths where this TH is here, and then you have hundredths where this TH is here. So this was yesterday's lesson. Today we're going to be looking at page 347 in your big book. And basically today our learning goal is that now we can record hundredths as fractions and as decimals. So this very first question says that in the 2008 Summer Olympic Games, the winning time in the men's 100-meter butterfly race was only 1/100th second faster than the second place time. So what decimal represents this fraction of a second? And time is one way that we measure, that we use hundredths to measure. And a lot of times swimmers will be just very, very, very close to each other in a race. And so they have to record that and go all the way down to 1/100th of a second faster or slower than someone else. So you can write hundredths as a fraction or as a decimal. So Craig's gonna get us started this morning with using a model and a place value. He's gonna shade 1/100th of this model. Go ahead and do that now, Craig. 1/100th. He chose one little square over there in the upper right-hand corner. And I believe some of these guys may choose a different one. Funky, I am telling you, I already talked to you about keeping your hands to yourself. Retina Trace does not want your hand on her head. Do you, Retina? Retina, are you looking at me? Is Retina looking at me?
No.
Okay. Please make eye contact, Retina. Okay, so Craig has shaded just this one over here. You could have picked any one of those out of there to shade for us. If you would, please write 1/100th as a fraction for us, please. 1/100th on that line. Okay, he's got his numerator as this one that he shaded, and the 100 is all of the other squares, including that one. He's shaded 1 out of 100. So you read that number 1/100th. So here he's gonna come over here and he's gonna look here at the place value chart, and it's already filled in. So we've got a 0 in the ones place, we've got the decimal point, we've got a 0 in the tenths place, and then we have a 1 in the hundredths place. So go ahead and write that, Craig, underneath there, 0.01, telling us that we do not have a tenths, we have a hundredths. So that's how that would go. And you read that same thing, 1/100th. So let's look down here at the number line. The top of the number line as fractions has already been filled in for us. But they're pointing, there's 100 little lines on here, and they're pointing to this very one right here when they write 1/100th. They did not do every one of these for us. So this is 1/100th here. Right next to it would be 2/100ths, 3/100ths, 4/100th. I'm sorry, I've been saying that wrong. 1/100th is what we were told to say. So this would be 200th, 300ths. Okay, so what this chart did was because they probably would have run out of ink if they would have done all of them. They did them by tens. So you have 10 hundredth, 20 hundredth, 30 hundredth. So let's go ahead and fill in the blue squares below, Craig. Good. Yes. Oops.
Oh.
That's why we have erasers. You're good. Yep. Okay. Yes, sir. And yes, then notice that 1/100th is the same thing as 1 whole and no fractions on the right side of that decimal point. So what they're asking for you to do right here is to say that, I'm sorry. So what names the same amount as 1/100th? So can you write it as a decimal here, Craig, on this line that names the same amount as 1/100th? You got it. 0.01 names the same amount as 100th. So the winning time was 0.01 or 100th second faster. Okay, go ahead and turn the page for us, Craig. Let's see. So here we're talking about Alicia. She won her 400-meter freestyle race by 4 2500th seconds. How can you write this mixed number as a decimal? So the first thing we want to do is take these squares and fill in 4 and 2500ths. So Craig, how many whole ones are you going to fill in?
4.
Just make an X in each of those. You do not have to shade all of those in each. That one is 1. There we have 2. Then we have 3, 4 whole, and don't do an X for that one, but rather how many?
No.
Okay, so you have one full row here, and then another full row would be 20, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for us there. Thank you very much. Okay, so go ahead and write that as a fraction. So it'd be a mixed number, actually. So how many whole? Great. And what fraction of another whole? 25 over, good, 100. Very good. So you read it 4 and 2500ths. Okay. And so we're going to look at the place value chart to show how you would do that with a whole number in the ones place. So Craig, go ahead and write it as a decimal. Obviously, it has a whole number in the ones place, which was 4, and then 2500ths. Your 2 kind of jumped way up in the air there. Can you bring it down for me? There you go. I want to be able to read that. And you're going to write it as a decimal then without these boxes here. 4.25. You read it for F-O-U-R. Go ahead, Craig. F-O-U-R. And 25. T-W-E-N. Hyphen, good. 5. It's okay. F-I-V-E. Hundredths. H-U-N-D-R-E-D-T-H-S. Very good. Okay. So another way is to label the number line with equivalent mixed numbers and decimals and then locate 4.25. So there's some blue spaces here for us. Obviously, this is the one we're looking for. But Craig, go ahead and fill in the top row of blue. 4 point, what do you think? 10, good. 20, good. Oh, you can go down there now if you want to. What do you think? Yes. Go ahead and finish filling it in while I check on these guys over here. Nemo found? How are you today? Huh? You can't talk out of water, isn't that right? Sorry, I forgot. Saki Monk, you're looking pretty good today. Yeah, how come you don't have your paper out? It's gonna be really hard for you to learn this stuff if you're not following along. Gizmo Gremlin, don't be making fun of him. You don't have yours out either. Did you guys get a good night's sleep last night and a great big breakfast this morning? You're wearing the same clothes as yesterday. Better have some home economics in your future. You can learn to wash your own laundry. Not you, Retina Trace, you don't really have any. And Moo Cow, just that mask. Just that masked Moo Cow. All right, Craig, did you get it?
Yep.
All right, so 4, 4.10, 4.20, 4.30, 4.40, 4.50, 4.60, 4.70, 4.80, 4.90, and 5.00. And this is where he found the 4.25, right between the 4.20 and the 4.30. So go ahead and rewrite that fraction there. I know it's kind of repetitive here, but 4.25, that's kind of how math works. 4.25. So she won her race by 4 and 25 hundredths seconds. Okay, we're gonna come right over here. We're gonna try to stay right under that 12-minute mark here. So this says shade the model to show 31 hundredths. So Craig, right there in that model, can you shade 31 hundredths? There's 100 little squares. Shade 31 hundredths. So you go right away, it looks like, and do 3 tens. Because 3 tens tells us how many? Craig, don't be shy.
30.
You're the only one of my students that's actually talking today. 31. Good. Let me see. And then you're gonna write the amount as a decimal. How do you think you're gonna do that there? Yep, perfect. Put it on the line here too for me. I know they had that place value for you there, just so you know for sure. 0.31, 0.31, and it reads 31 hundredths. Okay, so you're gonna try this one. Now you've got to count them though. Oh gosh, that's a lot of little squares. Are you gonna count them by 1, Craig, or what's your strategy?
Tens.
Tens, okay. Go ahead. How many tens do you have?
6.
And then how many ones?
7. No, 8.
Try, yes, 8. So how are you going to write that as a fraction first? That first line is for a fraction. Go ahead and write fraction here. Whatever you counted, there you go. Oop. That works too, I guess. Okay, and then as a decimal. Good. Okay, now this one, because we're going to have them do on your own here real quick, so you just have a couple more examples to do with me. How many? This one's tricky.
8.
8. Ooh, okay. Go ahead and write it as a fraction first. The fraction shouldn't be too tricky. 8. How many squares total? Hundredths. Good. Now, as a decimal, no whole, so 0 point. Okay, that says 0.8. Good. You know why? Because this tells us it's in the hundredths place. So 8 out of the hundredths. Okay, so make sure you really focus in on that one, because you're going to want to write 8 out of 100 as 0.08 so that you don't write it as 8 out of 10, because that would be incorrect. Okay, so here we go with this number 4. It is asking you to write this point on the number line as a mixed number. So 6 and this is 10. So this is 20. So the blue dot is
19.
good. So 6, you're writing it as a mixed number. Whole number first. 6, how many did you say?
19.
19 out of,
100.
yep. So 19 hundredths. Okay, and then as a decimal, Very good. Right. Very good. So we're going to have you guys practice a little bit the on your own. I wish I could have him work through many more examples, but I'm at that 15-minute mark, and it's hard to upload much after that. So go ahead and do that page 349. Oh, where'd it go? Where'd it go? There it is. 349 and 350 for lesson 9.2. And then I did pull out the skinny book, and I must have misplaced it. Maybe in this mess somewhere. There it is. Okay, and so in your skinny book, this 9.2. Now, obviously, if you're completely getting it, you wouldn't have to work through every single one of these front and back, but you certainly can. The other thing you could do is do the odds or do the evens, and then one other day this week, go back and just make sure you're remembering, especially the difference between tens and hundredths. So, happy math on this April Fool's Wednesday. I'm going to have to get these guys going, so I'm going to have to let you guys go because they didn't even get their math book out the entire time that I had this video rolling. So hopefully I can get them whipped into shape around here. So, okay. Talk to you later. Bye.